Oh,
We
Amazing.
have one last fence question we got to get to. Very last one. DeQuell, you can start on this. We had a 3-3 split on the panel, so you will be the determining vote in this question. Will Myles Garrett have more sacks than Josh Allen has rushing touchdowns on Sunday? Yes or no?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I think
We have more sacks than No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I got to go. No, I don't think so. He hasn't been the Myles Garrett of late because we haven't had a really big lead, and so we haven't been able to use our two dogs on the outside. No, I don't think so. I think Josh Allen's going to bounce back from all the turnovers the last 2 weeks. He's got something to prove. I think they're going to come out and probably take some pressure off of Josh Allen and this offense. Even though they want to pass the ball like crazy, they're probably going to, implement more of the running game, take a little bit of pressure off of Josh Allen and get him back to rolling. I think this will be the game. They're looking at the Browns as if this is a get back on track game in terms of building their confidence. But I don't think Myles Garrett's going to have more sacks than Josh Allen has rushing yards for sure.
Let me ask you a question, DeQuell.
What you got?
You've already answered the fence question. You got two dogs on the outside that can get out there and get after, right?
Yeah.
So what am I missing? Because if I got these two cats that can get out here on you, right, and I don't empower them with the rest of the crew so they can get up there and do their thing and wreak havoc here, who is that?
The defense is the defense. I mean, Joe Woods. The defense is stagnant. They haven't done anything. You can expect when you turn the tape on or when you watch the game on Sunday, where Myles Garrett is going to line up. Where Jadeveon Clowney is going to be. Those guys are never together. They're always apart. They're always on the outside. Honestly, I don't think Joe Woods is going to be around next season. And speak quite frank, the interior of this defense, man, I went back and watched out of all the D tackles we have listed that play for us, we have a total of 6 guys. We have a total of 5.5 sacks. And I know sacks isn't the end all be all, but they get thrown around. They don't. When was the last time we saw an interior defensive lineman make a play behind the line of scrimmage or tackle for loss? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it from any of the guys. So that's going to have an effect on the effectiveness of Myles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney. But at the end, Joe Woods has. You know what? We can't change the stripes on the zebra. He is who he is at this point. He's not going to change. We're in the middle of the season. He is who he is. He's not going to change things, even though everyone is. The game is very simple. If an offense is trying to scheme this defense, you know exactly what Myles Garrett is going to be. I rarely see him standing up, rushing over a guard, rushing over a center. I never see him in those positions, hardly ever. So you know what? It is what it is. Listen, these guys, these coaches, they feel like they know everything, and clearly he hasn't been able to get the most potential out of this unit all season long. And the only guy, in my opinion, that's really been outside of Myles Garrett when he has had moments has been Martin Emerson. Martin Emerson, in my opinion, has been the MVP of this defense.
Wow.
Not even close. There isn't anyone in a close second. So, him and Myles Garrett, I would put those two at the top. But everyone else has been playing inconsistent football all season long, and this defense just doesn't have an answer. The way they got bullied last week against the Miami Dolphins, that was embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And you know what? For a defense, if you don't come to play, despite of what the offense is doing, you don't come to play, you're going to have a long freaking game. And that's just what –
Did you hear anybody – okay, you said it's embarrassing, right? So I didn't hear anybody really belly aching about it, right?
Right.
I didn't really get that.
I heard
this
was on the coach's show. Pharaoh Brown, they got him, and this is the great thing about when you get new players in the locker room, because they're not indoctrinated into the rules of engagement. A lot of times the rules of engagement when things is going bad is don't rock the boat, shut up and put your head down. Pharaoh Brown said something that was very interesting. He said, when we talking about the team and Jacoby Brissett, he says, when we get down and we don't give the ball, or we can't give the ball to Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb, that it's hard for us to win games. We can't win games, and he's saying that, like, hey, I get that you guys want to maybe be balanced, He said, but for the players on the sideline, you don't know how demoralizing it is to see guys that you know are at the top of their peer groups in the league. So, and you saying, I got a guy like this, and when we down a couple scores, all of a sudden we go away from it, and they're like, we know what Jacoby is. We not knocking him for not being able to lead us back because we know he has a ceiling. But when he talked about that, and you hear Jadeveon Clowney say, well, look, at least when we get, Deshaun Watson back in the mix, at least then we can come back and we can have our own whole playbook. But I think they're demoralized.
That's the hope. Is like Deshaun Watson will come back and be able to cover up some of the faults or some of the inconsistencies of this football team. It's not going to happen. They are who they are right now. And to your point, this team has only been able to win in one manner. That's running the football. So if you get behind 2 scores, now what do? You got to put the ball in Jacoby Brissett's hand, and we've seen what happened when the ball is in his hands, late game situations, critical situations. We expect him not to make the play. That's where it's come to. So that is the makings of not a bad football team. You can only win in one fashion. That's running the football, and hopefully you can get some stops on the other end, which, quite frankly, they haven't done a good job of turning the ball over. I don't know what the turnover margin is this year, but I would imagine it's not that great.
It's not strong.
But, it's not strong. Yes, the Browns. What are the turnover margin?
I think they're second to last in the league.
Browns are 31st in turnovers.
I can name the turnovers.
Are they like -5?
Delpit had a pick. Ward had a pick. I don't even remember no fumble causes, no strip sacks. Miles Garrett at least had 3 or 4.
One fumble at one.
Davian Clowney forced one against Joe Flacco.
Okay. They got it back, though.
I thought Miles
If
Garrett
we can
forced
sit
it.
here and say off the top of our head
not a
all
good
of the
sign.
turnovers the Browns have had this year, that explains why they're 3-6.
Let's do Jacoby's touchdowns next. That won't take long.
No, it won't.
Hey, I have a question for you, DeQuell, about Martin Emerson. How is he doing this in this system in this year? He's a rookie. He's playing the same defense. Who's motivating him, or is he just that talented, or is he self-motivated, or how does somebody shine in a system like this when a defense looks this bad?
You know what? You have to be. It's got to be this self-motivation that you're not playing for the playoffs. You don't have anything to play for after the season. He's a rookie. He's coming in. He's done a great job of blocking out the outside noise and focusing in on his job at hand. And you look at some of the plays that he's been beat on. That's been contested. Every one of those catches have been contested. And that gives me a lot of confidence. If it's not contested, he's having a PBU, he's got a pass breakup, and he just seems to be at the right place at the right time. And somehow, you know what? Those are the type of things you can't coach. It's coming from, his internal motivation of, I want to be really good. I want to be a star on this defense. And you know what? Hopefully he can keep that mentality moving forward. Obviously, avoiding injury and things of that nature, because we all know once people start talking about you, you start reading the clippings, it can go sideways.
Either way.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because this just popped into my head really quickly. Man, I believe in a thing called promotion demotions, right? On the surface, it look like they bigging you up, giving you we're going to move you over here, you're going to be starting right over here. Case in point, if you come in as a Mike linebacker, and they tell you, you're going to play the will for us. That's a promotion demotion for me. If I'm the Mike linebacker, I'm the signal caller, I got the sticker, I feel like I'm a 3-down player, but they tell you, we're going to move you to will, and you're going to be in our nickel package. You start in the nickel package. No, that needs to be in subtitles. They confused you. You got promoted but demoted. When I watched Martin Emerson, right, and he's a 3rd-round pick. Third. And you got Greg Newsome, right, who's a 1st-round pick. When they start saying, Newsome, you in the slot, I said, hold on now. That's a promotion demotion. Because if we running base, does that mean Newsome is playing? No. If we on goal line, does that mean Newsome is playing? No. So you got a 1st-round pick who you using on the sneak as a substitute player. He's a little smaller. He's a little big. Emerson is bigger. To me, I look at that as, is that a miss?
But that's how it happens, G. It's like if you started on the outside of being a number 1 or number 2 corner, and you're not playing that well, there's another guy behind you that's playing well. They want to see more of. That's the order of the motion. You go to the nickel. Now you start playing in the slot, and they're going to see if you can play in the slot, and that's a much trickier, situation to be in, because now instead of being on the one side or the other, now that slot receiver has a two-way go, and it puts you in a bind. So the next demotion will be him probably not being here pretty soon. But yeah, that's the way it kind of goes. And a lot of corners who started on the outside have become very good nickelbacks if they've been a star in their role. And right now, he hasn't been a star in any role this point this season. So you're on to something right there.
Those are high draft picks that are not panning out, which typically means to a lot of no success for the teams that they're playing for.
Well, then you look at the general manager.
Now you're looking at it. You heard me say this weeks ago. Who is doing the scouting here?
I am too.
Who's doing the scouting here? Because at some point, the people you bringing in here have to work out. There has to be some benefit to having these people around here.
Well, DeQuell, what's stunning to me is the philosophy of this football team. And I wish they were more transparent about this, but they're not. I don't know if this comes from DePodesta or if this comes from Andrew Berry. But when you look at the recent draft picks, it is clear what they are prioritizing. They have zero priority on linebackers. They have zero priority on defensive interior linemen. But look at the picks that they've spent on defensive backs in the Berry era. And I don't know, is that, and you can even go back, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, you could probably go back to the John Dorsey era. I think he was heavy on defensive backs too. That's what makes me think that maybe this is coming from Paul DePodesta. Maybe he's saying it's a passing league, and if we have good corners, we're well positioned to defend all of these passing teams. But the fact of the matter is this philosophy is not working, and the players that they've selected for the most part, and I'll give them a hit on Denzel, and I'll give them a hit on Emerson, but I think the other guys, Genu all of a sudden looks like a miss. Delta looks like a miss. Greedy Williams, what the hell were they thinking with Greedy Williams? So maybe not only is their philosophy of going heavy DB flawed, but their track record of getting good players at that position is also at question. Am I right?
Yeah, you're spot on. You have to. You have to. And what I would have loved to see was guys who were starters early in the season. If you're not playing well, you got to sit them. Even if it's not permanent for the rest of the season, it'll permeate throughout the rest of that locker room. That's what I haven't. I've been waiting to see, what is going on. Are we going to see a different lineup? Or how do you shake things up to get everyone's attention for that point when guys are underperforming? When you've invested so much into these high draft picks on the back end, and we all would have probably agreed before the beginning of the season, we thought that the defense would be the stronghold of this team. And unfortunately, it hasn't been by a long shot. But you were at that point where you have to question all the decisions that were made, whether it's Andrew Berry or I can't say his name right now. But I think we're at that point now where we have to, everyone's in question. Everyone's in question. What I would like to see is some bold moves made. You look at how, Bill Belichick has done business in the past. He sat a guy for the Super Bowl, for Christ's sake, for whatever reason. And so there needs to be big moves made to get the attention of other guys. That's the only thing you can do at this point to salvage this season to see what you have. Because next season, you got to be able to cut bait with some of these guys.
DeQuill, I've been saying this for weeks. So I want you, from the player perspective, explain to everybody else here, what happens inside the locker room when you know you're on a team and you and I as players know when somebody's not performing, right? But there's no accountability being held for that person who's underperforming by either sitting them down, calling them out. What does it do to the rest of the players when you have to continually sit here and watch a person that you know is not getting it done, right? And you out here banging your head against the wall. What will happen inside that locker room?
Yeah, well, we're seeing it. You become 3-6 and you start to lose faith and you become tone deaf. Whatever your coordinator is talking about, whatever your head coach is talking about, if there's no accountability there, and guys know who isn't playing and who shouldn't be playing, or who's only playing because of their contract for whatever reason, for money purposes.
Or who the favorite, right? We got it.
Who the favorite is, and you start to question the guys that leading the ship. And now you start to have this hero ball where, you know what, screw them. This guy's playing like crap. They're not going to sit him down. I'm going to look out for me and me only. And that's when you get a bunch of inconsistency that, you know, unfortunately you can't reel back in because you've lost the trust of the players because you haven't made a bold move. And all it takes is one guy. You don't have to sit 5 or 6 guys.
This guy chop one head off.
Yeah, that's all you have to do to get guys' attention. You know, and it hasn't been done.
Gotta be a
and
good
this
head,
is what
though.
you have. The product on the field on Sunday is a 3-6 product. We can only win in one fashion. That is, if we have a lead, if we can run the ball, we can play. Hope to keep, cross our fingers to play great defense. Hope to get some sacks. Hope to get turnovers. There's a lot of, hope in this play where, unfortunately, it becomes you're a bad football team. And now you have to start looking at the coaches and evaluating everyone involved with this product that you're putting out on the field.
And this is where
a lot of times, I remember, I was at OU. In my first year, Jim Grove was there. We had 7-4. We beat Minnesota. We
have to hear about it every day.
Yes, we do. and we beat Marshall. I'll take that. They were the greatest thing smoking. But the next year we went 1-10. And
what happened?
Our coach went to Wake Forest, and he left, and Wake Forest ended up winning a championship a couple years in the ACC. We got left with our defensive coordinator, who was a head coach.
Coaches, they always steal our good coaches.
He was just a coordinator.
Yeah.
That's what he was.
Yeah.
We went 1-10, and I remember seeing
he's Stefanski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to come in and talk about, we're military school. I said, no, you're not. You got an ROTC program. Stop acting like you're a Navy or Army. Ain't nobody going to war over here. He talk about, we wear only gray T-shirts, and you better not have no earrings. He making people, cover up tattoos. All kind of, your socks gotta be medium. They out there with, all they doing with rulers. And you know what I told him, man? I said, look, man, I said, y'all, you can make us run all you want, man. The reality of it is, you running a triple option on 3rd and 8. Why do you think we stupid? We not dumb. We understand that's not gonna work. And I said, you can, and I told this to a coach, probably why I will never coach. I'm not a good person to be a good subordinate. I said, you can come here until you're blue in the face. The reality of it is, you can't get rid of the whole team.
Right.
You can't cut the whole junior and senior class. The reality of it is, you'll be gone before all of these other kids will be gone. And instead of trying to worry about all this other tertiary and stuff, why don't you just concentrate on one thing? How can I get my people the ball? How can I come up with a good game plan? And how can I motivate people to win?
About that other stuff.
And all that rest of that stuff don't really matter, bro. It just don't.
Yeah. Does anyone think we have a chance this weekend against the Bills?
Bull does.
No.
Bull, really?
Yeah, Bull does. But Bull's, I'm a little confused by Bull's eternal optimism all of a sudden. He was never that way in the past. But
when they had hope, Bull was the negative Nancy on the show, and now they kind of lost their playoff hopes. Bull's turned into the eternal optimist, and he's not with us, so we can't ask him. He'll join us again
he'll be
in a
back
few
in
minutes.
10 minutes.
I think they're messing. I think he's tinkering with his medication right now. And I think that's causing us all. I know when I'm doing that.
Allegedly. There you go.
Yeah.
Now that is a human nature thing, though, by the way. Human natures always seek. Nature is all about balance.
Yeah.
Yin and yang. Everything has a negative, everything has a positive. And as humans, we look for balance. So if we're in a group setting and 4 people are negative about something, the last or the next couple people have to think about it and they say, well, it can't be all one side, so I have to even it up a little bit and be more optimistic.
Well, you hear.
So you think it's his contrarian nature?
Well, I wouldn't say contrarian. It's to find harmony.
Okay.
Like, we like to have
Bull's
harmony and
looking
peace.
for harmony?
Yeah, everybody does it,
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
G. Bush, if that was true, he would let one argument go. He would let
And he
one
doesn't.
run the ball argument just. I love Bull. I love Bull.
It's Turkey Day.
He ain't
He has a big
letting
heart.
anything go.
He can't. He
I
hates
love that we're talking
we
smack
learned
on
he
him
hates
and not
turkey.
just
What do you
bringing
say,
him
turkey pushers?
onto the Zoom with
Turkey
us.
pushers.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, at some point here, so we're going to go into Detroit this weekend. We're going to see what happens. We're going there,
Prove me
we're
wrong.
watching.
Prove me wrong.
We all want them to win. I don't think there's anybody here that don't want them to win.
Right.
But we are, as any good business person, we're now studying the data. the data is not trending your way, right? Now, you may shock me, but it's not trending your way.
Right.
But my question is, I wonder over in Berea, is anybody reading the data, right? And the data is, I'm not just talking about the data for the week-to-week statistics. Right. The data of the complexity of the entire thing here, because it's not trending well. It's not trending well at all, right? And if you think that Deshaun Watson is going to walk in here and is going to flip the switch and this thing going to go another way, you might steal one or two. But if you are like this today, 6 weeks later, you're still like that today, add another 2 weeks, so you still like that today, you probably like that, right? So I'm not looking for any miracles around here.
Deshaun Watson is the equivalent of taking NyQuil when you got cancer.
The patient may already be too far gone.
You worried about in-life process, and I'm not disrespecting anybody with the cancer thing.
Or anyone who enjoys NyQuil.
Oh, yes, I do, by the way. Terminal illness. The Browns are terminal in their DNA. Like, it's at the cellular level. Like, their DNA is broken. You can't fix broken DNA. You got to start all the way over. And hopefully you get you a new body, a new something, because you taking cough syrup and Tylenol and Oxycontin, Lord, all this other stuff, but you rarely get down to the root of it. And when you even ask him what's going on, what happens?
Nobody
he says,
knows.
Well,
we got to do better.
It's a quick turnaround in the NFL. We got another one really coming up quick, so we don't have too much time to be dilly-dallying and feeling sorry for ourselves. We're on to the next week. That's that comment alone. I know he's trying to play be politically correct. That comment alone is frightening, because that means you're going from week to week, never analyzing what's going on, never trying to fix what the root problem is, and you're telling us we're just going to drink NyQuil and put our head in the sand.
Where's the
that's the most frustrating part about it, because when you're players at this point in the season, if you're 6-3, you're a good football team. If you're 3-6, every player knows we're not a good football team.
Exactly.
And yet the head coach, every time there's some hero speech and let's galvanize the guys, the guys are rolling their eyes like, man, we are terrible. We just need to figure out how to get out of this and not make ourselves look bad, worse than what we already have. So that becomes the crux of it all. It's like you have a coach that clearly is saying all the right things politically. And I don't know what he's saying behind closed doors, but if I were a head coach, I'd be like, listen, guys, what do we want to make out of this season? Where we are who we are, and how can we get ourselves out of it? How can we get one, and start changing the message as opposed to, this
global theory, right?
Yeah,
so,
we're going to say the same things over and over and over again, and guys are rolling their eyes like we're not a good football team.
I'm gonna tell you this: somebody has to hold somebody accountable. Even the head coach has to be held accountable. There's always someone that your trusted sidekick that will keep it 100 with you, will keep it real with you. So when you sucking, they tell you sucking, right? And when you're doing well, they tell you doing well. You're on the right track. So for me in my other world, my chief of staff, she'll come in when I'm on the thing. When I'm on one, I'm giving a speech. If it look like it's going sideways, she'll walk to a place in the room and get in front so she can be in my purview, and she'll do like this.
Yeah, you going off on one, right?
It's not going over well. We're not doing that.
Yeah, at some point,
like this.
You have to look. Is
Bring
it
it
the
down.
message or
Bring
the
it down.
messenger?
Right.
And the message is 3-6, and the messenger isn't making it any better. Well, I want a sense of urgency. I want guys talking and playing like their heads are on fire, because ours are. We know it's slipping away fast. I don't know where you are on this, but I think the season's already lost. I do. But I think if they lose Sunday, you can put the stake in the heart.
Only thing you're waiting for
3-7.
Only thing you're waiting for is at that point. The only thing you're waiting for is Deshaun in Houston.
But I mean, if you're 3-7, you've got to go 7-0 to be 10-7, which doesn't even guarantee you a spot.
Playoff hopes are out of the window at this point. Now it's about okay. Who do you look at? Who on this football team are given unlimitless efforts? Who can still play at a high level, give me all the energy, all the enthusiasm, no matter what our record is. Now you have to pinpoint those guys. Who are the guys that I can identify with if things go sideways that are still doing what they were doing at the beginning of the season?
Still roll
How you going to build this with no picks?
We need to get rid of.
Hey, Dean, we got to go. But before we do, I have to get you on record. I want a point and prediction for tomorrow's Buckeyes Maryland game. How's this?
Oh man! Oh, did Brad put you up to this?
No. I mean, if you're going to come rolling up with Maryland gear, we at least want you to be on the record.
Okay, I'm a realist. I'm a realist. Okay.
Okay.
I'm a realist.
Okay.
Maryland isn't going to win the game. Okay.
No.
Let me say that.
Way to keep it
So
real.
I just hope.
Don't put that into the universe.
Listen, I'm a realist. I've seen them play. I hope with my heart, I want them to win, but with my eyes, I know they won't. But I just hope the game they don't put up more than 50 points on the Terps. That's all I can say.
Here, Terps not bad. They're not bad. Loxley trying to do a good job over there, but they weren't about to run to a juggernaut. I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah.
The juggernaut. All I can hope for is this. Please put some people in the stadium in College Park.
I know.
We only come with
we're
every blue
working on it.
moon.
Yeah.
We're
Shout
working
out to
on it.
Juan
We're working on it.
Dixon.
D, we got to go, man. Have a great week. Let us know how the surgery goes. We're thinking about you, man. Get well.
All right, man.
Good luck to Quill.
Normally I will have my drink,
No,
but
you
because
off of that. You drink that water.
Chug that
See
water,
you guys
brother.
next week.
All right.
Chug that water.
Good luck to
Quill
Quill.
Jackson has to have Torrey's Achilles a couple of weeks ago or last week. And
Still jovial. Still looks great.
upbeat.
Yep.